Hi guys, and welcome to another Warhammer 40k 8th edition Codex review video. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the Death Guard troop slot and all your choices therein. So let's get started. First off, we have the Switchblade of the Legion, the Plague Marines. They come in at 7 power for a group of 5, or a unit of 5 for 19 points a model, so 95 points for just base, vanilla, all the way up to a unit of 20 for 380 points, or in this case, up to 23 power points. Each model is armed with a plague knife, a bolt gun, blight grenades, and crack grenades, all of which is free equipment. But you can upgrade them a number of ways, but let's take a look at their base stat line first. So the Plague Marines can move 5 inches, hit on 3s, strength 4, toughness 5, which is of course the big thing for Plague Marines, 1 wound each, 1 attacks, leadership 7, and a 3-up save. The Plague Champion, who's their sergeant type character, can move 5 inches, hit on 3s, strength 4, toughness 5, 1 wound, 2 attacks, leadership 8, and a 3-up save. So let's just first go. We'll go down and see what they can take, then who can. Well, then what exactly it is. So the Plague Champion may replace his Plague Knife with a Plague Sword. Now the Plague Sword comes in at, let's see our melee weapons. Plague Sword comes in at 1 extra point, so not that bad. The Plague Champion may replace his Bolt Gun with a Bolt Pistol, Plasma Pistol, or Plasma Gun. Our Plasma Gun comes in at 13 points, and our Plasma Pistol at 7. I like to give my sergeants a Plasma Pistol usually. A Plague Champion may take a Power Fist. Now the Power Fist is the big one, coming in at 12 points for the upgrade. So you could Power Fist Plasma Pistol, seems pretty fun. Up to 2 Plague Marines can each replace their bolt guns with either a Plague Spewer, or a Plague Belcher, or a Plague Launcher, a Melt Gun, or Plasma Gun. Now the Plague Spewer is, point-wise, 19 points for that. The Plague Belcher is 10 points. A Blight Launcher is 14 points. A Melt-A-Gun comes in at 17 points. And a Plasma Gun, like we said, comes in at 13 points. Any Plague Marine can replace their Bolt Gun with either a Bubotic Axe or a second Plague Knife. Now, the second Plague Knife is free. The Bubotic Axe is 5 points. Up to 2 Plague Marines can each replace their Bolt Gun with a Great Plague Cleaver or a Flail of Corruption. The Great Plague Cleaver costs 15 points, and the Flail of Corruption comes in at 10. 1 Plague Marine with a Bolt Gun or with 2 Plague Knives may also take an Icon of Despair. Now, the Icon of Despair comes in at 10 points. Let's go over their abilities, then we'll take a look at their massive war gear list. They have Death to the False Emperor and Disgustingly Resilient, so yeah, that's right, they have their 3-up save plus a 5-up after that. After that, they suffer any damage. The Icon of Despair that they can possibly bring means that units that are within 6 inches of any enemy units with an Icon of Despair must subtract 1 from their leadership characteristic. 10 points, making a couple extra models flee is not bad. Vectors of Death and Disease, a Plague Marine armed with 2 Plague Knives, a Plague Knife and a Bubotic Axe, or a Mace of Contagion and a Bubotic Axe, has an attacks characteristic of 2 instead of 1. So you can make your Nurgle, your Plague Marine, super melee and punchy and stabby if you like. We'll talk about what I like to do in a second after we go over all of their warrior options. Now the Blight Launcher we talked about. Has a 24-inch range, Assault 2, Strength 6, AP -2, D3 damage, and a Plague Weapon. So Strength 6 means it's wounding a lot of stuff on 3s, some stuff possibly on 2s. And with the Plague Weapon rule, you're re-rolling those 1s. I really like the Blight Launcher. Now for the cost, it's, let's take a look. Blight Launcher is 14 points. Throw a couple of those in there, a couple Plasma Guns, you're having some fun. Bolt Pistol, 12-inch range. Moving over Pistol 1, Strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage. Bolt Gun, regular old Bolt Gun, 24-inch, Rapid Fire 1, Strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage. A Melt-A-Gun, 12-inch, Assault 1, Strength 8, AP -4, and D6 damage. If the target's within half range of this weapon, roll 2 dice when inflicting damage with it and discard the lowest. Melt-A-Gun, you can roll just Vehicle Killer or, maybe now, Character Killer. Plague Belchers, a 9-inch range, Assault D6, Strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage. Plague Weapon, this weapon automatically hits its target. So, automatically hits the target D6 times. Keep in mind though, you can't drop these guys in and then hit something because you have to drop in more than 9 inches away. It's only 9-inch range. A Plague Spewer is a 9-inch range heavy D6, strength 5, AP -1, 1 damage. It automatically hits its target. Keep in mind, there's like assault versus heavy weapons now, alright? You just suffer a -1 to hit, which, if it automatically hits, hey. Plasma gun. When attacking with this weapon, choose one of the profiles below. The standard profile is 24 inches, rapid fire 1, strength 7, AP -3, and 1 damage. On a supercharge mode, you have a 24-inch range, rapid fire 1, strength 8, AP -3, and wounding on 2s, and 2 damage each. So it means you're going to be wounding a lot of stuff on 2s with that strength 8. And on a hit roll of 1, the bearer is slain after all his weapon's shots have been resolved. So you resolve those shots, then he dies. So if you're in rapid fire range, for example, 1 hits, 1 is a 1, resolve the hit, and then your model dies. But if you're within, a distance of a lord to give you those rerolls, usually 6 inches, even better, because I'm going to supercharge mine every time if I'm able to reroll that 1 to hit. Plasma pistol has the same idea, just a 12-inch range and pistol 1 instead. So that's what I'm usually bring on my champion. For myself, Biotic Axe is melee, strength +1, AP -2, 1 damage, and plague weapon. So it's going up to strength 5, so wounding on 3s a lot and re-rolling those 1s, making your opponent's save decent amount worse. For the Biotic Axe, it's cost 5 extra points. Decent to bring. It's not quite a power sword, because it's not -3, but you're re-rolling those 1s to wound, and it makes you strength 5. So it's kind of my replacement for my champion on these guys. The Flail of Corruption is strength +2, AP -2, and 2 damage. It is a plague weapon, so you reroll 1s to wound again. Make D3 hit rolls for each attack with this weapon instead of 1. Excess damage from this weapon is not lost. Instead, keep allocating damage to another model in the target unit until either all the damage has been allocated or the unit has been destroyed. So our Flail of Corruption is actually pretty good. It's 10 points. If I have the points to spare, like I'm bringing a few squads, I might put this on somebody instead of the Biotic Axe, but my normal is just the Biotic Axe, just to help with points, because I want to spread the love with those a little bit. Let's roll down here. The Great Plague Cleaver is a melee weapon, strength ×2, so 8 usually. AP -3 and D6 damage. It's a plague weapon. When attacking with this weapon, you must subtract 1 from the hit roll. Keep in mind, if you're near a lord, you're getting bonus to hit as well, but that massive strength, if they ever have to fight a vehicle, is gonna be worth bringing. The Mace of Contagion is strength +2, AP -1, and 3 damage. When attacking with this weapon, you must subtract 1 from the hit roll as well. Now, the Great Plague Cleaver, costing 15 points, versus the Mace of Contagion, costing 7 points. I might just... if you're going to bring a weapon that makes your hit rolls worse, you might as well bring the best one. You might as well bring the Great Plague Cleaver or the Mace. Yes, it's a little more expensive points. I just made an argument against that. But if you're going to be kitting out your squads like that, where you want them to smash face and melee, bring the best face smasher, as an orc would say, right? Plague Knife is strength user, AP nothing, 1 damage, plague weapon. Plague Sword is strength user, AP nothing, 1 damage. But you can reroll you can reroll failed wound rolls for this weapon, not just of 1, but all the failed wound rolls for it with the Plague Sword for 1 extra point. So I might do that if I were you. Power Fist is strength melee, strength ×2, AP -3, D3 damage. When attacked this weapon, you must subtract 1 from the hit roll. Now again, I'm bringing a Great Plague Cleaver over for Power Fist. Great Plague Cleaver is 15 points, doing D6 damage instead of this doing D3. Just for 3 extra points, it's a no-brainer to me. Blight Grenade is 6-inch range, grenade D6, strength 3, AP nothing, 1 damage, and a plague weapon. Crack Grenade is 6-inch range, grenade 1, strength 6, AP -3, and D3 damage. Now, we'll get into how I tend to use mine, at least. What I like to do is, how I've been rolling lately anyway, is I bring 2 detachments. One of Nurgle, that tends to be my more ranged units, and then one of Khorne, that's my just get up in there and chew things up with chain axes. So I haven't tried a lot yet, honestly, of the melee end of things, but I can see how it would be worth it. Like, my guys have got involved with their plague swords and pistols, but they haven't really got up in anybody's face with a lot of Biotic Axes, Flails of Corruption, that kind of thing, because I'm just going to send my squads of Khorne warriors in there instead, and blood for the blood god, as they say. But I might want to play a little bit going forward with some Flails of Corruption. Like I said, my usual kind of people who I might bring a couple of Balotic Axes in a unit, or for the champion, I said I'd bring a Bubotic, which is harder to say fast when I talk fast. Balotic Axe on a Plague champion, but it's usually Plague Sword, Plasma Pistol on my champion. So, but I might bring a couple of Balotic Axes in the unit just so they can get their effect in there. But I might play around with going forward a little bit, bring some Flails of Corruption and see how good they are. Or maybe even Great Plague Cleaver, but we'll see. A little more playing around with that. Just it hasn't been what I've been doing so far, so I can't really speak to that too much. What have you guys been using so far with your Death Guard army? Love to hear about it in the comment section down below. So all the way from that Swiss Army knife, we'll switch right off. Again, what I tend to do is throw a couple range things in there, like a couple of Blight Launchers and a couple Plasma Guns. Throw it in there and just make them my ranged little turret because they're harder to wound because of that toughness 5. And then send in my maybe a couple of Hellbrutes and a Land Raider, and a Land Raider full of Khorne warriors and Karn usually is what I've been tended doing lately. So our Chaos Cultists, the meat of any good army, of any good Chaos invasion anyway. Chaos Cultists cost 3 power points for a unit with 9 Chaos Cultists and 1 Champion, all the way up to 40 Chaos Cultists and Champion for 12 power. Points-wise, the Chaos Cultists for a unit cost 4 points a model, so 40 for 10, or 160 points for 160 points for 40. Now that is not including their war gear. Each model is equipped with an auto gun, which are free. So 160 points for 40 guys. That's just going to be a good meat shield a lot of the times. Drop them on an objective, move on an objective, and they're going to be hard in order to kill all of them. Your opponent's going to have to really dedicate a lot of firepower or a big chewy melee unit in order to make them all leave. Now, any Chaos Cultist may replace their auto gun with an auto pistol and brutal assault weapon. For every 10 models in the unit, 1 Chaos Cultist may replace their auto gun with a heavy stubber or flamer. The Cultist Champion may replace their auto gun with a shotgun or brutal assault weapon and auto pistol. So the auto pistol, if they do choose to upgrade, is free. The brutal assault weapon is free as well. What else do we have? The heavy stubber, if they choose to bring it, is 4 points. A flamer is 9 points. I believe that was all our options. Oh, shotguns are also free. So what I usually like to do is just what I said. Camp somewhere with these guys. If I have to move forward and just swallow somebody in numbers, like a small elite unit of 5 is going to have turns going through these guys in melee, they're going to have to deal with it with a lot of units. So if I want to distract these guys on one side of the field or just sit them on objective is usually what I tend to do. Because of that, I tend to throw in a couple of flamers just to absorb Overwatch if they do get charged, or not absorb Overwatch, but just to Overwatch, because their flamer is still strength 4. So it's the same as a Space Marine flamer. It's not a heavy flamer, but it's the same. So getting Overwatch hits and possibly wounds in there with those couple of flamers is nice. And again, they sit them in the back. You can remove how you want to remove now, remember, in 8th edition, so no worries about those guys dying first. So let's just go over some of their weapons quickly. Range on an auto gun is 24 inches, rapid fire 1, strength 3, AP nothing, 1 damage, so 2 shots within 12 inches. Auto pistol, 12-inch range, pistol 1, strength 3, AP nothing, 1 damage. Flamer is an 8-inch range, assault D6, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage, and it automatically hits target those D6 times. Heavy stubber is a 36-inch range, heavy 3, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage. A shotgun is a 12-inch range, assault 2, strength 3, AP nothing, 1 damage. If a target's within half range, add 1 to this weapon's strength to make it strength 4. A brutal assault weapon is a melee weapon, strength user, AP nothing, 1 damage. Each time the bear fights, it can make 1 additional attack with this weapon. So the cultists on their own can move 6 inches, hit on 4, strength toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, the champion has 2, Leadership 5, the champion is 6. And they have a 6-up save on their own, just that little t-shirt save. Their faction keywords are Chaos, Nurgle, Heretic Astartes, and Death Guard. Keywords are Infantry and Chaos Cultists. Now, unfortunately, the good old Chaos Cultists for me anyway, the Chaos Cultists don't see as much play as they used to because of Poxwalkers, and we'll go over them in a minute. But I can sometimes bring some of these in an army if I just need, like I said, an objective sitter that can defend a little bit better than maybe Poxwalkers can. I tend to use Poxwalkers more like how I described the distraction force. I tend to use Poxwalkers like that more so than Chaos Cultists. The Chaos Cultists are often the objective babysitters because especially when you start to bring like a unit of 20, it's 2-point difference between Cultists and Poxwalkers. So you bring 20, that's 40 points. That's a couple more Marines. That's a couple of expensive upgrades on something. So when it starts making a difference when you bring that. But Chaos Cultists still have their place in a lot of armies. Just in my particular one, I do bring them once in a while because they don't see the table as often as they used to. Because of these guys. Because of Poxwalkers. Now it's 3 power for a unit that contains 10 Poxwalkers, so you can include up to 10 additional for another 3, or it's 6 points per model of Poxwalkers, so 60 points for 10 or 120 for 20. Each model is armed with an improvised weapon that is free. Its weapon is melee weapon, strength user, AP nothing, 1 damage. Poxwalkers can move 4 inches, weapon skill hitting on 5s, will skill hitting on 6s, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, 2 attacks, leadership 4, and a 7-up save. So no save unless something happens to improve it. They are disgustingly resilient, have Curse of the Walking Pox. So right away there, you see disgustingly resilient, you're seeing, oh, they have no save. But they're disgustingly resilient gives them a 5-up save. Or sorry, a 5-up save. So why not, right? Why not do that? So they immediately have a better save that can't be modified than Cultists. They have Curse of the Walking Pox. Each time an enemy infantry model is slain by a Poxwalker in the fight phase, which isn't going to happen a lot because they hit on 5s, add 1 model to the Poxwalker unit. So they have the potential to keep chewing through and adding units. Notice that's taken before the phase, so if you've lost models, you could potentially negate if you happen to lose more. The leadership is 4, so if they lose any, they're automatically potentially losing some models, but you could replenish your ranks kind of thing. They're mindless, it never has to take morale tests, so never mind, that's what I just said. So it's always just gonna build its numbers. If somebody happens to chew through it, you take 1 or 2 their guys out, they get some back, and you get some back, and you get some back. Disease Horde, you can add 1 to all hit rolls for this unit in the fight phase if it contains more than 10 models. So that's the reason to bring, like I'm usually looking around the 15-ish number. That's 90 points for 15. Then immediately they start hitting on 4s, which is much better. Usually wounding on 5s. But still, if you can just get 1 failed save from your opponent, or maybe a couple failed saves if you're lucky, it can make a big difference, because then that'll add a model or 2 to your guys, which builds their numbers more. And your opponent has to chew through more just in order to make you hit worse. So I do like my Poxwalkers for that, willing to pay the extra couple of points in most situations for them. Faction keywords are Chaos, Nurgle, Heretic Astartes, and Death Guard. Keywords are Infantry and Poxwalkers. Oh, they look so cool. Plague Bearers. So good old Plague Bearers, the basic Nurgle demon. They come in at 4 power points for a unit that contains 1 Plague Ridden and 9 Plague Bearers. Can contain up to 10 additional, or for another 4 power rating, or 20 additional for another 8. Each model is armed with a Plague Sword. Their points costs for the Plague Bearers here comes in at... Well, I will find that for you guys in 1 second here. I have to take a look in our good old index because they're not in here that I can see. Yeah. Here you are. Plague Bearers come in at 8 points per model, including their warrior. So including the cost of their Plague Sword. So that's 80 for 10, up to 240 for 30, anywhere in between it, 8 points per model. So for every 10 models in the unit, 1 Plague Bearer can take an Instrument of Chaos. For every 10 models in the unit, 1 Plague Bearer can take a Demonic Icon. A Demonic Icon is 15 points, and an Instrument of Chaos is 10 points. Their Plague Sword is strength user, so strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage, and you can reroll failed wound rolls for it. So they move 5 inches, hit on 4, strength 4, toughness 4, 1 wound, 1 attack for the Plague Bearer, 2 for the Plague Ridden, leadership 7 for everybody, and a 6-up save. But they have 2 things. They have Demonic for a 5-up invuln, and they are disgustingly resilient for a 5-up after that as well for any suffered damage, which is pretty good. Keeping in mind they're re-rolling their wound rolls of any kind, not just ones. So Plague Bearers at 8 points model are kind of that step up from Poxwalkers again. So depending on how much points you want to sink into this, you can upgrade your units to the varying amount that you want. So they, like I said, they have Demonic Ritual as well, so they have the potential to be summoned, because they are not a character, they have potential to be summoned by a character of your choice. They have a Demonic Icon, or the one that they can bring. It says, if you roll a 1 while taking a morale test for a unit with a Demonic Icon, reality blinks and the Demonic Horde is bolstered, no models flee, and D6 slain models are returned to the unit. Notice it doesn't say you can go above your starting cost, it just says D6 slain models. So maybe if you lost 3 that phase, you roll a 1. Oh, cool, you roll a D6, you got 4. Okay, no, 4 weren't slain, 3 were slain, so you can bring back 3. Cloud of Flies. Large groups of Plague Bearers attract great clouds of flies that buzz around them, obscuring them from view. If this unit contains 20 or more models at the start of a phase, your opponent must subtract 1 from all hit rolls for attacks that target them. This just says hit rolls. It doesn't say ranged hit rolls. So, again, melee hit rolls or ranged hit rolls subtracting 1. So, they have a 5-up, 5-up, and your opponents aren't hitting them as often. Instrument of Chaos. A unit that includes any Instrument of Chaos adds 1 to their advance and charge rolls, which is good for Nurgly things. Being faster for them is good. So, again, obviously you're paying for it. You're paying 8 points model versus 6 with Poxwalkers versus 4 with Cultists, but you're getting a more stable unit the more you pay. So essentially the Poxwalkers had, your Cultists had a 6-up, and that's it. Poxwalkers had a 5-up, right, against a damage. Plague Bearers have a 5-up invuln plus a 5-up discussing resilience, so you get better save for paying those points. You get stronger and tougher for paying those points. You get harder to hit for paying those points. So depending on what you want to sink into what, Plague Bearers can be good on the defensive or offensive as well. So if you have enough points or you want to commit that points to making your general troop slot that much better, Plague Bearers might be for you. Their faction keywords are Chaos, Nurgle, and Demon. Keywords are Infantry and Plague Bearers. Our final troop slot belonged to the Nerdlings. So Nerdlings come in at 3 power for a unit containing 3 swarms. It can include up to... It can contain up to 3 additional Nurgling swarms for plus 3 power, up to 6 additional for power rating 6. So basically 1 power per swarm. Each model attacks with its diseased claws and teeth. So the Nerdlings, as far as points go, cost 20 points, including war gear, per base, so per swarm. So 60 to 180 points per thing. Movement is 5 inches. They hit on 4, strength 2, toughness 2, 4 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 7, and a 6-up save. Their disease, teeth, and claws are strength user, AP nothing, 1 damage, and they are a plague weapon, so rerolling 1s to wound. They have Demonic Ritual and Disgustingly Resilient, so they can be summoned, and they have that 5-up save. They are Mischief Makers. When you set up a unit of Nurglings during your deployment, they can either be set up in their deployment zone or anywhere on the battlefield that's more than 9 inches from the enemy deployment zone. So they can kind of go to no man's land, kind of a Vanguard if you used to play Fantasy, for example. However, they are squishable. Because of their diminutive size, Nurglings only receive the benefit of their Disgustingly Resilient ability against attacks with a damage characteristic of 1. So regular bolter fire, things like that. But they won't get any Disgustingly Resilient saves against things like rolling a d6 for a last cannon. They're demonic, which means they have a 5-up invuln save as well. So, they're solid. I've never... Nurglings might be good for tying a unit down, but I've never been a big fan of... They never do a lot of offensive work, right? These guys might, bring a little swarm of 3 to sit them on an objective, but when a las cannon could just kind of burn them out in a couple shots, it makes me... versus a horde of Poxwalkers that might take 1 out. Right, so it makes me a little nervous about that, and at a decently expensive cost per base, it's just like I said, it makes me a little nervous. Decent objective holders if there's an objective in a castle or in a tower somewhere where there's cover, but aside from that, I'm not super pumped to bring Nurglings usually. And decent little thing to summon in beginning of the game. Oh, I'm going to summon some guys over there on that objective. Nerdlings. Done, right? Anyway, again, faction keywords are Chaos, Nurgle, and Demon, and keywords are Swarm and Nerdlings. So that is our last unit of our Death Guard Codex review for our troop slot. Next up, we'll be checking out Elites, I believe, so come on back for that. What do you guys think? What are your builds usually like? I'd love to get ideas about how other people use these as well, because I just kind of see me and my small meta about how I use these units. But what do you guys do? Love to hear about that in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What are your thoughts? Put those down in the comment section below as well. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Everything that lets people know about Gas City Gaming that exists, what we're doing. We're going forward, going to be making more Codex reviews in this fashion. What do you guys think? Would you like me to do something different? What would you like to hear about as well? Also going to be looking at reviewing our Lore Series 2, so hopefully that comes back on its way soon for you guys as well. But that's all I have for you for today for this video. Can't wait to see you guys again. Have an awesome rest of your day, and remember, as always, the Emperor protects.